if you haven't watched the first episode of this, go back and watch so you have a brief understanding of what was going on there. If you just jump directly into the sequels, then you'll have no idea what I'm talking about in the following video. But welcome back, everybody. We're on day 12. Technically still on day 12. I'm behind due to a power restraint, and now I'm going to catch up today. Super fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed the the horror bits of infliction that we put out to try to make up for it. If not, I'm sorry. I can't really do much about you then. I've already just talked about this movie once, and about halfway through I realized my mic was muted. So here we go again. I'm going to divide it into, we'll talk about two here, and we'll start now. This film is going to take place, this review is going to be both sequels, or the sequel of the trilogy, the 2 and the 3 of Hell House LLC, which is Hell House LLC 2 and Hell House LLC Lake of Fire. The reason I've divided it up this way is because of how this story played out, if that makes sense. And the rating system would have drastically changed if I considered them all one, or if I divided them all into 3. So I didn't feel like making a third video on the topic because I figured putting out 2 of the same name or 3 of the same name is a little redundant, and 2 is about right for how I could divide up the scores. With all that over explanation out of the way, let us get to the story. Now, the story of 2 is we find the previous people's recordings, and now the entire thing takes place over a news cycle. The first one was originally taking place, and I don't remember if I talked about it in the past one because I've had to talk about it twice. But the other one was talking more as a documentary. Halfway through the film, they would cut out, and you'd see this man with a half mustache or a full mustache with like gray and brown in it, discussing what he studied. And now in the news, it's talking about the people that had reviewed it originally. It's one of the people of the main 3. It reviewed the original tapes, and now everyone has studied and have seen these tapes multiple times, and in that fact, they know about the house, they know about the threat, they know what's gone about in it. So the entire second film story is them going in it, and they didn't make it, so everything becomes slightly spooky. But they've studied it enough to understand what's going on. Also, throughout the movie, that they show the beginning part of the movie, they show other people's recordings of going in it. It's like 3 to 4 minutes long a piece, if that, of, say, a kid's going in on a dare and they see something instantly, or people being slowly lured there by what they believe is hitchhikers and stuff like that. Yeah, and you get to another twist in this one. The first one had a pretty big twist. I didn't talk about it because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah. The overall rating on this story, it tied suit with the first one, which was really good and what you kind of want it to do. But unfortunately, there was a couple of acting moments and people. Some of the actresses or actors in it just they just got on my nerves. One of the main female leads just really got on my nerves, and her acting was not up to par with the first one at all. So the story on this one probably gets about a 7. The threat on this one's still the house, but this time it's completely new to them. They didn't put anything in it. But they do a good job again in this one of looking through the camera, and you, knowing the first house, you still try to remember if you remember that being there, or is it the ghost again, or is it the doll, which is really creative. So the threat is still an 8 for me. Or threat's probably about a 7.5 for me. I'll lower it just because the story and some of the acting in it kind of suffered. Rewatchability, I'd still watch it and I'd still recommend it. I recommend the entire series. You can go ahead and just put yes across the board for those. Scare factor in this one's still good. Still found flick, so it's still that silence equals more fear, which is good. So scare is still about a 7.5. So this one probably gets an overall a 7.5 for that. So the overall score of this one, the acting played a major part in it. Some of the effects that they weren't able to really pull off the way they wanted to kind of irritated me a little bit. So probably about a 7.5 for this one, or a 7 for this one. Probably stick to about a 7. Yeah, we'll stick to a 7 for this one. That is number 2. Now let us jump to, wrong way, number 3. It's hard to get used to a camera that you're not used to being on the side of. So LLC 3 of Hell House is about, I have to regather everything. A millionaire has recently found interest, and they at the end of the second one they discuss people sending out videotapes to try to lure other people back into the hotel, the Abaddon Hotel. And so it's about to be burned down when a millionaire goes in and buys it out of the blue. He wants to perform. He wants to do a play. I can't think of what it's called. He wants to run a play called Insomnia, or he's running the play between the deal between the devil and God about trying to turn a man's soul. I don't remember the exact thing, but it's there. And a news crew, the same news crew or the same station as before from the second one, is covering the fact that this is covering the opening of the new one and the already known location of it being a haunted hotel, being the Abaddon. Long story short, bad things start happening to the actors of this play that they've hired a couple of. And then he has organized the launch. It's going to be about probably about 100 people in the house. The hotel has had the entire time. And found flick still because it's going through the camera, and she also gives everyone else their own personal hand recorder, so you don't have to just follow one. You get to follow up to, I believe, 6 or 7 different views from this film. And yeah, it goes really, really off. Like, I understand that it needed to wrap, but some of it went a little left for me, and I don't really understand it. Overall story for this, I understand that there's probably some budgeting errors and issues. As always, the 3D and the CGI effects were a little off for me toward the end. So story on this one's probably about a 6.8, probably. Story, once again, it drops down a little bit more. I don't know. Threat's still the house. It didn't, unfortunately, there was some good scares. So we'll say the threat of the house was still looming because we know of what it's able to do toward the end. So we'll say the threat's about a 6. 6 for this one, because I'll explain more in the scare factor category in just a moment. Rewatchability, it's still a yes. I still recommend the entire series, just at least for the first 2. The scare factor of this, it had, once again, it's found flick, so I'm always down for a found flick film, a triple F, if you will. But the scares in this one there was not as many, and they start off really early with a good many of them, and they have the area of heaven, which is really neat, where all the they have mannequins pretending to be dressed as angels and stuff like that look really neat and provide a good scare. They only used them about twice, and they could have used those to hell and back, and that's not a pun, but it kind of is, so do what you want with it. But they fell flat on that for me, and I was really expecting it to kind of, they only had probably about 6 total scares in the entire film in this one, and I understand they were trying to wrap the story and just let everyone know what was going on, and they do so in a decent way. So scares on this one's probably about a 6. It didn't really do what I wanted it to. So the overall score on episode 3 is probably about a 6.5. Like, it was still a good trilogy, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would watch them all again once just to see if I can pick up some of the little scares that they left out. But besides that, the third one was rough for me. The third one was really rough for me. All right, so that was episode 2 and episode 3 of Hell House. That was day 12, and I'm finally done catching up. So tomorrow, I'll see you guys when I finish watching episode 13, and I don't know what it'll be yet because I haven't decided yet. But I hope y'all guys have a great day. Y'all guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I appreciate you all so very much for being a part of this journey, and we're a third of the way there. See you.